Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gene. You are watching Lubed for November the 2nd, 2023. This is season 3, episode number 10. And this is the episode post Heritage Classic where the Edmonton Oilers, in a must-win, and I do believe it was a must-win game at Commonwealth Stadium, managed to defeat the Calgary Flames by a count of 5-2. Huge win. And it was a character win. It wasn't really so reliant on the McDavids and Draisaitl's. However, they did, contribute for sure. But it was just a very good 5-on-5 effort. The only goals that Calgary were able to establish were like two-man advantages. And other than that, Edmonton pretty much shut them right down. So this was an excellent character game. However, they have a tough task in hand in about half an hour, maybe 45 minutes or so from now, as they take on the Dallas Stars at home, which is a huge task because the Dallas Stars have an amazing 6-1-1 record right now, second in the Central. Very defensively, well, I wouldn't say defensively stingy, but their goaltending is through the roof awesome. And we are going to go through the numbers now. Since we're actually officially into November and things have kind of settled down, we can actually start doing number comparison and stat comparison to what the Oilers are in for tonight. But in the meantime, let's talk about the Heritage Classic that took place on Sunday at Commonwealth Stadium in front of 54,411 fans. Now, to my surprise, the 2003 version of this game, the one that I attended in a much more frigid temperature, was actually more. There was 57,000 people at that event. I thought for sure that this one would have been maybe surpassing it, but no. And I think some of that reason is the fact that in 2003, it was the very first outdoor game ever played. Hands down. Very first ever outdoor game played. There was no Winter Classics at that time. Heritage Classic was the first to do it, and then it started the Winter Classics and all the special games that they have in outdoors, and now we're something like 50 games into it. I don't know the exact number. But it all started back in Edmonton, back in 2003 at Commonwealth Stadium. Same location. Very good venue, very cold that day. You guys had it very nice, and it turned out to be really good. And I was lucky enough to finally get I don't know if you can see me in the clip here, my Ryan Nugent-Hopkins jersey. It turned out it was actually sent to my neighbor by accident, so she kindly returned it to me, which is, thank you very much if you happen to watch this on the channel. But I do appreciate it. I use these jerseys more for props than anything. I don't really wear much outdoor here in Vernon. I probably get booed by Vancouver fans, especially with Vancouver playing as well as they are. But yeah, it was a very good game. Very well put together. A lot of good stuff about it. Can't complain about it. It was good to see Connor McDavid come back because we didn't know if he was going to play, but he ended up playing. Just everything about it was just top notch. So props to the organizers and that. It was just very well put together. We move on to the scoring summary of that game, as it was Brett Kulik getting on the board first from Evander Kane and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And that was at 4:19. Zach Hyman would make it 2-0 at 9:38. This would be his third of the year from Leon Draisaitl. Nazem Kadri would get one on the power play. And like I say, I think the only goals that Calgary got were on three-man advantages. I could be wrong, but they were power play goals anyway. And that was from Mackenzie Weegar and Jonathan Huberdeau. Evan Bouchard would cap the first period off with a 3-1 lead, scoring at 16:06 from Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. And we would go to the second period where there was only one goal. That was AJ Greer on the power play for the Flames from Mackenzie Weegar and Jacob Markstrom. Vinny Desharnais would get his very first goal in the NHL in an outdoor game at Commonwealth Stadium. Yes, Vinny Desharnais scores his first ever NHL goal from Evander Kane and Zach Hyman. Then Evander Kane would get an empty netter from Derek Ryan, and that's all she wrote. 5-2 is your final. The Edmonton Oilers take the second installment of the Battle of Alberta that is at Commonwealth Stadium. The first one, not so much, as they lost to the Montreal Canadiens 4-3. This time it was a different story with a 5-2 victory against their Southern arch rivals. So I was pumped. And like I said, they played a very good game. I wish I was actually there. Okay, we move on to what happened in October. So we don't really want to reflect too much on it. I'm going to try to breeze through this. But we know October was not very kind to them, as the season started off on the 11th with an 8-1 shelling by the Vancouver Canucks. I'm still haunted by this. Followed by another loss, 4-3 on the Saturday hockey night in Canada. They looked like they were getting their ground when they defeat Nashville 6-1, and we're thinking, okay, maybe it was just a hiccup those first two games, but the rest of the month would have been was pretty horrible. Losing to the Flyers, losing to the Jets, losing to Minnesota, and losing to the Rangers in a shutout. But then they ended on the right note at the Heritage Classic with a 5-2 win. I can't say enough for the boys with that one. We look forward, though, okay? October's gone. Stick it into the closet. Let's just take that one little fond memory, and that was the Heritage Classic, and keep that, and the rest of October you can throw in the toilet. So they start tonight in about, like I say, under an hour against the Dallas Stars. And I don't really have the home and away schedule. I got to get a better schedule for this, but I'm going to assume that these next two games are home. They play Nashville at home. The Vancouver game, I'm not sure. I think they are on the road for Vancouver, San Jose, and St. Louis. Then they play the Islanders, I would say, at home, probably Seattle at home. Then this I would have to be a road trip because they play Tampa, Florida, Carolina, and Washington, basically Murder's Row of the 2023 season. Then they'll come home and play Anaheim. They're playing the Golden Knights and then the Jets. So it's not exactly an easy schedule for the Edmonton Oilers. There are a few teams there that aren't really doing that well this year, like San Jose. Even Washington's not doing so well. Even Seattle isn't doing that well. And Tampa's kind of tapered off a little bit. But they still have some tough matches against Vegas. They're playing the Canucks again. Canucks are red hot, so there is some tough matches. I'd like to see it November start off with a good character win against Dallas tonight. That would be awesome. So again, yes, they are taking the Dallas Stars tonight. They have a record of 6-1-1, so they're not a shabby team. They're second in the Central right now. They got a great goaltender. However, I don't think he is going to be playing tonight as they're using their backup. And I just lost light here, so bear with me. So it should be good. And we are also going to see the return of one Sam Gagner, if I got this right. No, I don't. 1 second here. So yes, Sam Gagner is going to be in the lineup tonight. There it is. There's the right graphic. His third stint with the Oilers, which is quite remarkable. He's very beloved in the Oiler community. I can't remember what year it was where he had that outstanding, and I think it was an 8-point night against the Chicago. I remember it was against Chicago. Absolutely mind-blowing 8-point night, I believe it was. I think it still holds records, or still holds the record for the most points in one game by an Edmonton Oiler. I think he still has that well established. So there's a lot of history with Sam Gagner. And he's one of those guys that always has had the Edmonton Oilers close to his chest, to his heart. And it would really be nice to see him go out as an Edmonton Oiler and retire as an Edmonton Oiler. Because we know his career is dwindling down. He's got maybe this year. I really can't see him playing another season next year. I think this is probably his final hurrah as an NHL player this year. He may play next year, but after that, I can almost 100% say he will be retired by then. And then he's more than likely going to have a job with the Edmonton Oilers brass if he accepts it, if he wants it, maybe in a player development role. But he's just he's a guy that has been through it all with the Oilers. He's been through hard times. He's been through the decade of darkness. And now, hopefully, it'd be nice to see him cap it off with a Stanley Cup here in Edmonton. Oh, that would be so sweet. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it'll be nice to see him playing tonight. I'm going to be definitely watching him. And hopefully he'll give a boost to the bottom six forwards here, because right now they're struggling a little bit. I mean, there's a few players that are starting to shine. Like Warren Fogel's actually looked pretty good to me. Derek Ryan, I don't know if I should fault him or do I fault the fact that he's not getting any ice time. That's a tough one for me to swallow. But then there's Ryan McLeod, hasn't done much as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, the bottom six is struggling. So hopefully he'll add a little bit of something to that bottom six as we go forward here. Here is the stat-by-stat comparison I was telling you a little while ago, as the Edmonton Oilers will take on the Dallas Stars tonight. Now, Dallas is a tough team. I can actually officially start going and giving you a stat comparison because now each team is a good 6-7 games into it. We're starting to see kind of the foundations of how this season is going to look. We hope certain things aren't going to turn out the way they did, like the way the Oilers started their month, but there's certain things that we can start seeing that we saw from last year and comparable things that, like Dallas is pretty good, as they are second in the Central. So when it comes to the offensive stats, Dallas is 18th in the league, averaging 3 goals per game. Meanwhile, the Edmonton Oilers are 23rd in the league, which is quite surprising, averaging 2.75 goals per game. Shots on goal, Dallas is 22nd in the league, averaging 29.7. Meanwhile, the Oilers are 15th in the league, averaging 31.4. When it comes to power play percentage, the Dallas Stars are 30th in the league, only 9.5% on the power play. That's something that the Dallas Stars definitely need to address. Meanwhile, the Oilers, they're not exactly doing what they did last year. They're 10th right now in the league, averaging 24.1, when last year they were getting, I think, 33% on the power play. It was crazy numbers. They were just destroying the power play last year. Face-off percentage, Dallas is 7th in the league at 52.9. Meanwhile, the Oilers are 13th in the league at 51.3. Shooting percentage, the Dallas Stars are at 15th in the league with a 10.1%. The Oilers 22nd in the league with 8.8%. When it comes to some of the defensive stats, the shots on goal allowed, the goals allowed, Dallas is 5th in the league, averaging 2.43 goals per game. Meanwhile, the Oilers are 31st in the league, averaging 4 goals a game. This is the one area that they need to clean up 100%. And the way they looked against Calgary, it looks like they might be on the right track. Shots on goal, Dallas is 20th in the league at 30.7. Meanwhile, the Edmonton Oilers are 15th in the league at 30.1. Penalty minutes, Dallas is 7th in the league at 9th. The Edmonton Oilers are 22nd in the league at 11.3. And then the penalty kill, the Dallas Stars are second in the league at 95.5%. Very good penalty kill to an Oilers kind of mediocre power play. So that could be very concerning. Which their penalty kill is 28th in the league at 72.7%. So that's where I think this could be a special teams game. That being said, Scott Wedgwood looks like he's getting the start, and not Jake Ossinger, and it will be Jack Campbell. But Scott Wedgwood has a record right now of 1-1. He's 3.53 goals against, and again, a lot of that boils down to the poor defending in front of him, and he has an .889 save percentage. Meanwhile, Jack Campbell, his numbers here reflect kind of like some ugliness, but actually there has been signs of brilliantness coming from him, and I'm hoping he can overcome the mental challenge to void out what happens that's negatively, because negative stuff is going to happen, and just stay forward, because he's made some saves that were absolutely stunning and incredible. His record is 1-3 with a 4.35 goals against average and 8.78 save percentage. Yeah, those numbers don't look good, but I mean, when he's making some of his saves, they're absolutely brilliant. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that he, can carry on, because he had a couple good games. He definitely had a couple good games. I'm hoping he can carry on, and that the tandem between him and Stu will continue on and be very, very good. Okay. Okay, that's that. Okay, we will move on forward to my final thoughts of the game. Now, unfortunately, guys, and I'm not going to get into too much of the graphic details because it is pretty gruesome. I'm sure most of you guys heard about the Adam Johnson passing that happened last weekend while he was playing for a English team. My heart goes out to him and his family, to the Pittsburgh Penguins organization. I think we're going to see some big, huge changes in the NHL. We're already starting to see it. The WHL was one of the only junior teams that hasn't implemented it. They instantly implemented it, having neck guards assessed. Those of you that, I'm just going to briefly touch, it was a neck injury involving a skate. Okay, and that's as far as I'm going to go. I think we don't need to address any more. But it led to the hockey player passing away from it, and it's definitely opened up a lot of conversation and discussion. And it's kind of unfortunate that it takes someone to pass away before people start addressing it. But it is what it is. And I think hockey players should be wearing this. They should be wearing the wrist guards. We saw what happened to Evander Kane last year. They should be wearing the Achilles, but they got to make it where they can still function as a hockey player. And that's the problem, is can they make it as a hockey player and function as a hockey player and play to their ability and not be hampered. And I think that's where it's going to be, as far as the NHL goes. I don't think they can just instantly mandate it and say, hey, this is happening. It's going to have to go through the union. It's going to have to go through that. And it's probably going to be like the visors. It's going to be eventually grandfathered in that players, currently that are in the league, they don't necessarily, they have the option of wearing it, but anyone that gets drafted into coming up probably in next year's draft will probably be wearing it. Should they all wear it? I think they should. We don't ever want to see a tragedy like this ever happen again. So my heart goes out to Adam Johnson's family. Tragic. Absolutely tragic. Anyway, guys, I think that's about all I got for tonight. Again, I do try to come on when I do initially do the thumbnail on that, but unfortunately I had to work a little bit later, so I had to bump it up an hour, or I'll have to change days. But I try to make it for usually Sundays and Wednesdays. Like, that's kind of my go-to. I do 2 a week, and we go from there. But I do appreciate all you guys watching. If you guys like the content I bring, or if you're new to this channel and watching it for the very first time and like it, please feel free to hit like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends about it. Also, come and join us on this channel or on NHL Aftermath. I'd love to have you guys come on there. We can have some debates, some interesting conversation, and having interesting dialogue amongst all you guys out there. But other than that, guys, hopefully the Oilers can really get another character win tonight as they take on the Stars very shortly here. But as always, stay healthy, stay happy, stay hydrated. We'll see you soon.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the back bed, I'll show you what happens. Pass me the mic and I'll show